Welcome to my second State of the Games video, October 2014. Now, I didn't make one for September because there wasn't a whole lot of things that changed in September for both of these games until the end of the month, September 30th. And also, I was on vacation and out of the country for a couple of weeks, and then I came back. I was sick for a week and have been playing catch-up because anytime you miss 3 weeks worth of work, there's a pile of stuff you've got to wade through and get caught up on. So, with all of that being said, let's take a look at where we are now. I'm going to first take a look at Star Citizen. In particular, version 9.1, or I should say 0.9.1 point whatever we're on right now. Now, remember, in version 0.8, I had a lot of issues because the flight mechanics were arcadish. I called it Space Thunder because it was played a lot like War Thunder in space. It was very much Freelancer style as opposed to Wing Commander style flight. There was no 6 degrees of, I should say 6 axes of independent controls, and everything was gimbaled weapons with point and click lock on. That made it very, very easy for mouse and keyboard players to dominate, and joystick and HOTAS players not so much. There was no bindable key controls, and there was no track IR support. So basically, many of the things that you would expect in a sim just wasn't there. Well, version 9.9.1 fixes almost all of that. You can see here it added 2 new game modes, one of them being racing, the other one being cooperative play, cooperative Vandal Swarm. Multiplayer has been refined. That was the other problem. Multiplayer just was horrendously bad whenever I first got access to it. Multiplayer has improved significantly. I still will get some lag spikes at times. It's unclear whether that's due to network issues or just the fact that I have a 750 Ti graphics card and the graphics card is choking occasionally. So, it could be either or, but they're relatively minor. It's nothing compared to how bad the netcode was in its initial iterations that was released to the public. So let's kind of go through here and take a look. We do have key binding. All of my devices are recognized now. My various, I have my joystick and HOTAS set up, my CH gear split into 2 different CM devices. It recognizes my my 2 multifunction displays, my Thrustmaster Cougars. I don't have to use target in order to map them to keyboard keys. So all of those things are great. The key binding screen is there. It's not perfect yet, like you can't clear individual keybinds. You have to wipe everything and reset to a default profile if you make a mistake, which kind of sucks. I haven't found a way to easily clear a mistake yet. So don't make mistakes when you're binding keys, binding your joystick and setting it up. I've spent a lot of hours tweaking my preferred setup. As a result, I haven't spent a lot of time trying out my other joysticks and stuff yet. And doing review videos for that, my various other joysticks, HOTAS, dual stick setups, things of that nature. But I will get on to that here very soon and get some more videos released showing an update of those, especially probably a 2014 buying guide, Christmas holiday buying guide for those significant others who are looking at buying joysticks for Christmas for this game. Now, something you'll see here is I'm flying the racing mode with an Aurora. Well, they've given all players, all backers, access to all of the ships this week after CitizensCon. And I'm not sure for the rest of pre-alpha, or at least alpha, and Arena Commander until we get into the Persistent Universe beta, if all players shouldn't have access to all ships. I think that will lead to a much higher satisfaction amongst the customer base, because as it stands right now, a common complaint, and it's absolutely true, is that even though Star Citizen, we were told, would not have pay-to-win mechanics, it's encompassing the very worst of those mechanics right now. The guy who owns a Hornet or is getting a Hornet trainer like I have a Hornet trainer right now because the Gladiator obviously is not in game yet, has a significant and huge advantage over an Aurora pilot who just spent $45. So I think if they opened it up to where you went into Arena Commander and you selected whatever ship or made it some way that you could earn credits to then upgrade ships or whatnot, at least just for the period of Arena Commander until we get something more substantial or get into the Persistent Universe, I think a lot of people would enjoy that. Not only that, but maybe the person who pledged for a 300i figures out, hey, I really should have got a Hornet. And they're going to spend more money to upgrade that package and things like that. I think that that would be the way to do it. Because the other problem that they're going to have to address when the Persistent Universe goes live are these people who have spent several $100s here recently on a Reclaimer or an 890 Jump in particular. If you base upon, if it holds true that it takes 60 hours to earn a Constellation, then a ship like the 890 Jump is going to take somewhere between 150 and 200 game hours to earn. So that person has just traded $600 for 200 hours of gameplay, which means going into the Persistent Universe from day one, they're going to be able to take on probably more profitable missions and have a very significant advantage. And organizations and individuals that are monetarily wealthy in the real world or willing to spend the money on the game are going to share a huge advantage over those who are unable to. And this is pay to win at its worst. Even though, people might say, well, it'll even out eventually. I don't know. If you've ever played in any MMO where some group or some group of players come in with a time advantage or some other significant advantage they've either paid for, or let's say they were involved in a closed beta and then it went to an open beta and more people and they have a 2 or 3 week leveling advantage over other people, they tend to maintain that advantage for a significant period of time. Yes, it does even out, but that can take months to years down the line before the universe kind of evens itself out. So that's something else that I think long-term Star Citizen is going to address, or have to address. But let's look at the aiming and things right here. Probably where they've messed up in this game, they've added in the flight mechanics that I had long bitched about. We have 6 degrees of control over 6 axes, or 6 degrees of freedom in coupled and uncoupled mode. But aiming has gotten significantly worse. And the reason for that is twofold. Now, I'm flying this in version 9.1, but I've got Track IR turned off right now, because I found that Track IR just wasn't precise enough for aiming in this game right now, despite having the Track Clip Pro, and despite trying some things out. So I have all of my weapons locked forward, and I've been having a much, much better experience, as you can see here, as I get a couple of kills in short order in a 300i. So my biggest problem is with your Class 1 fixed weapons, what you get is just this little small small plus sign is where they converge. And then that green circle becomes wherever you look at with head tracking. And that's where your gimbaled weapons are pointed. If that plus symbol was bigger and a different color because of this light blue gets lost on Broken Moon map in particular very easily, I think it would be a lot easier to do. The other thing that they need to include back in is a little bit of auto-aiming for both fixed weapons and gimbaled weapons. In fact, I wish with the gimbaled weapons there's like a circle on screen or some concentric circles that showed me where the cone was that my gimbaled weapons could aim at. So I'm not looking up in the corner and going, oh, my guns won't aim quite that high. So just some visual cues so I know where those points are. And then auto-aiming. Basically, if I have that small square inside that green circle, the computer should probably go ahead and do the final adjustments and let me get those hits. I think if they make those adjustments to the aiming model, like right here, those shots probably should have been auto-gimbaled and hit. I think they make those little changes to the flight model and to the aiming model, and Star Citizen is going to be much further along, much more towards what we're expecting. Now, consequently, this is how Elite Dangerous does it. Even their fixed weapons have a little bit of gimbal. You have to get it within that kind of circle, but once you get in that circle, it will finally aim the detail, that kind of last precision part of that aiming, and it makes it very fair between mouse, keyboard, and joystick and gamepad users. So now let's talk about Elite Dangerous. There's many significant changes to Star Citizen. Elite Dangerous probably saw even more with the release of Beta 2. It became an entirely different game from Beta 1. The number of star systems was expanded from 55, I believe it was, upwards of 500. They included exploration mechanics, which you're going to see some of this of. They completely revamped the UI in many respects, especially with stations. Now, this is a commercial outpost that I'm at. You can see all these signs around. They have these procedurally generated outposts that you have to land on the outside as opposed to the inside of the station. They added a new station type. I think it's the Ocellus station type, which looks like giant eyeball Death Star things. Although it's very similar to the O'Neill and I forget the other type of station. Maybe Ocellus was originally in there. But at any rate, there's these new outposts. Star systems can have multiple outposts in space stations in a system now, and everything's not automatically explored. This is Universal Cartographics. You got to go here to buy maps of star systems, or if you have a Discovery Scanner on board, you can go and just fly around, explore these stars, scan these star systems, scan the planets around them, and then go sell that data as part of their exploration mechanics. Now, one of the common complaints has been, once you get out of those core systems where a lot of people were comfortable with around Iran and Ibutis, Ocellus Primus, Allen, those common core familiar systems, space got to be a very lonely place, as in you didn't see any other players. I've been out exploring the opposite end of that capsule that we currently have, and literally it has been probably 20 to 30 hours worth of game time that I haven't seen another soul, another commander. Now, apparently part of this was a bug, that every time you launched in, you launched into a new island. So as a result, nobody was automatically being grouped together. In beta 2.06, supposedly they have fixed this bug, so maybe I will see more commanders as opposed to just how lonely the universe may end up being. But they also changed how your ships actually work. You can now customize a lot of your different ship systems. The thrusters, the frameshift drives, your fuel tanks, how much cargo you hold. I mean, for instance, I'm flying an Eagle right now that has 11 light-year jump range because I upgraded the frameshift drive. I got rid of my cargo space and put a shield cell bank in there instead, so if my shields start to get low, I can recharge them, and it operates like a weapon that is assigned to a weapons group, and it takes ammunition in terms of these capacitor cells to recharge, and I think you get 6 depending on, 6 to 8 depending on what how expensive of a version you buy. You have, it's kind of divided now in utility slots and internal slots. Here we have a look at how big the universe is in the galaxy map. You can see I'm kind of up and toward the middle. At the right is where the systems that you were in, and you can just see how many new systems there are. The map's gotten a little bit easier to use. It's just a completely different game. Now, trading has been completely nerfed because they wanted people to go out and explore, and not only that, they've added a lot more bulletin board missions that pay out a lot better. Bounty hunting has gotten significantly more profitable, especially as you venture out into other systems. Around your core systems, bounties are usually like 3,000 to 5,000 credits. You start getting out and they get to be 10 to 15. I've seen one system in particular that the average bounty is probably around 15 to 20,000, even on Cobras and Sidewinders and things of that nature. So it definitely is rewarding you to get out of those basic core systems that everybody are used to. So with this, you have a lot more options on where you can go. You can see my light year. Because I've used fuel, my jump range is actually extended. I think I have a maximum of 11.33 light years if I'm completely unladen. That would also be no fuel, too, and can't go anywhere with no fuel. But we'll fly to another star system here, and I'll break out the Discovery Scanner, I think, and explore the star system, because I jump in, and it's going to say, hey, you found a new astronomical object. Depending on which, see, one discovered astronomical object, and now I'm doing my Discovery Scanner. Am I going to find more planets around? Oh, I found 5 new planets here. Just to give you an idea of how the discovery mechanics work, or the exploration mechanics. Now, things aren't perfect, and, I'm not I liked the old rings better than how the new rings are graphically. Before, you could almost fly close enough to them in Super Cruise, and they were like, I don't want to say particle effects, but maybe that is the right word, but it's like you could see individual asteroids down there as you were moving, skimming over the top of them. Now it's more like a cloud type texture, but it also might have been that I was going into an ice ring, which is very foggy and hard to see long distances with. They've added different types of planetary rings now. There are rock rings, there are ice rings, there are metal rings, which will come into play when Beta 3 is released at the end of October, which we do know, it has been confirmed that we'll be able to own multiple ships at that point. So you'll be able to own, let's say, 5 Eagles if you want to, and have maybe one configured for mining, one configured for cargo, one configured for bounty hunting, one configured for heavy bounty hunting with cannons designed to take on anacondas, things of that nature. It is also widely expected by the community. It's not been confirmed, but likelihood will have mineral extraction or the ability to do mining. In fact, I have a feeling that because they nerfed trading, and the reason why they nerfed trading, I think, was partially now they have it set up to where stations have to produce goods. People are saying stations that nobody has really visited is now becoming decently supplied a couple of weeks into it, and people are noticing supplies are starting to go up as they are manufactured in universe. I think part of that was to test out those mechanics. The other part of it was they wanted to suppress trading in order to force people to go out and try the exploration and try missions and try bounty hunting and explore these different aspects, these new aspects of gameplay. They're very much manipulating these things behind the scenes to force the player base to go out and so they can gather data on how this stuff is working so they can further tweak it as we get closer to Gamma. Just as I suspect that come Beta 3 at the end of October here, mining is going to be where it's at if you want to make credits in the game, at least for the very early parts of Beta 3. Because they have shown a willingness in the part to tweak stuff on the back end that doesn't require a client update. We started to see dynamic pricing, the ability to take a massive like 4 or 5 Type 9s and flood a market with a good and suppress its price toward the end of Beta 1. Market PvP, as you will. The other big thing has been the changes in ship prices. Now, the Eagle and the Hauler really hasn't changed all that much, but weapons prices have gone up significantly, and then even the Cobra, or the Viper and the Cobra hasn't changed that much, but the Type 6 now is 1 million credits. The Type 9 is 30 million credits. The Asp, which is the new Explorer class ship, is 6 million credits. And the Anaconda, I believe, is around 46 million credits, just for the base ship. Well, before, where you could outfit an Anaconda for about 700,000 credits, it now takes about 700,000 credits to buy a single gun for it. So as a result, you're talking about to outfit an Anaconda now, it's probably somewhere between 60 and 70 million credits, which means if you lose that at 10%, that's a 7 million credit loss. That's going to hurt. You know, you lose that Type 9 now, and it's a 3-4 million credit loss. That's going to hurt. So there's a lot more aspects to that there now. I know even this Eagle, I have it pretty well maxed out. Cost me about 800,000 credits to do so. If I were to lose it right now, it would probably cost between 70 and 80,000 credits to replace it and all the equipment and gear on it. So the prices have certainly gone up. A lot of people have been complaining about it, but this is closer to what we were expecting as we get towards Gamma and the launch of the final game. People had to know that earlier on in the premium betas and the betas, the prices were suppressed and reduced because everything was on an accelerated timetable. They wanted people to get these bigger ships. They wanted them to try out all these different weapons and stuff like that. So as a result, the prices were lowered intentionally because these periods only lasted a few weeks, between 4 and 8 weeks between each iteration. So this has been Elite Dangerous. I can't say that they've really done anything too bad. I mean, also there's a lot more weapon types. Like, there's just not multi-cannons, cannons, railguns. There's, 5 different types of multi-cannons, 5 different types of cannons. Like I have 2 overcharged multi-cannons and 1 high impact. The overcharge ones have a little bit larger magazine capacity but shoot faster than the normal multi-cannons. High Impact has a smaller magazine but shoots slower but does more damage per shot against the hull. And these are all gimbaled weapons simply because that's what I could find at the time when I bought them. So here I am selling data, exploration data. Sometimes you get a lot of credits for it, sometimes you don't, and then if you want to, you could buy that data for all these different star systems, and different ports are going to have different pieces of information. If you scan a system and then travel back to like Aranin, you'll probably get more for it than you would selling it to just the next neighbor star over. Although some of those mechanics I think haven't been fully flushed out yet. But nonetheless, I think it's safe to say that Elite Dangerous is certainly on schedule for release of their game, of at least Gamma, which is going to be full release for the early backers. It wouldn't surprise me if the final gold release, or version 1.0, whatever you want to call it, isn't released until January of 2015. But I think we're going to see Gamma by the end of this year. I just can't wait to see what comes next, because each one of these updates, major milestones, they include so much more. As somebody says, Star Citizen promises, and Elite Dangerous delivers. In fact, they usually deliver more than what one would have been expecting. But this is an example of a commercial outpost. They're smaller than the orbitally different phases, the Coriolis starports, or the Acela stations, or the O'Neill platforms, or I should say O'Neill stations, things of that nature. And you can travel to at least one other faction's systems. There are now alliance systems that you can travel to, as in addition to just independent and federal or federation systems. So yeah, I'm still very much looking forward to where Elite Dangerous is going to be going by the end of this year. More ships, more things. We'll get to see faction ships from at least the Empire here soon. Probably the Alliance as well. And yeah, I can't wait. Well, stay tuned, as I'm sure I'll have a status update for the games in November here. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Comment below, and see you next time.